last week I had to go do my MOT for my car. It cost me money. Or public transportation, nobody talks about that. And when I say public transportation, the tankers fall in that category because they provide service for the public. So you see worn-out tankers. The engines can't even carry the tankers when they're empty, and then you have them full. And then you see the way they go on the roads. Well, you know, you're practically struggling with other
and you're holding your breath while
and you're holding their breath when you're beside them. And so you're trying to overtake, they're speeding up and so on. Why don't we just sit down and look at everything in totality? Rather, like you said, rather than taking this knee-jerk approach of saying, oh, ban 60,000. And that's the first thing we do in Nigeria. Oh, ban it.
Yes.
Then we now come back and
then we now come back because at the end of the day, you are going to lose the services of those. I don't know how many there are, but if the National Union of Road Transport
Workers... There might even be fuel
says,
scarcity as a result of this.
Oh, yes,
of the
there
haulage
could be.
Services.
There could be. Now, your pipelines are not... You're laughing, but that's the reality.
You know what? Let's hold on a bit.
And
we have a call coming in from Alhaji Abubakar, I believe. Good morning, Alhaji. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Well then, let me just contribute a little bit to the argument or to discussion. What we are having is a challenge of road versus, what do you call, profit for the tanker owners. What the capacity for most roads in Nigeria is 33,000 liters. That is based on the asphalt roads. The only ones that can take 60,000 or 45,000 and above are these concrete roads that are reinforced. So if we continue using those 45 to 60,000 liters, that means our roads will never be good. And Nigeria is such a corrupt society that no matter how you try to enforce law, people will take advantage of the law and be extorting money from operators. So the best thing is to ban, even 45 is not even good for our roads. So it's to ban from 45,000 to 60,000. We should go back to the 3,000 liters. The way bridges were there, most of the way bridges during Obasanjo's time were removed. They don't even have the way bridges anymore on those toll gates. So at the end of the day, trucks move from left to right without any check. And even if they are overloaded, people will pay bribe to just pass and go away. So at the end of the day, all the roads are bad. Apapa is one example. Every government came, fixed that Apapa. In 6 months, 1 year, the road is bad again. So how many times are we going to be repairing roads? At the end of the day, those roads will not last. Every year, every government that comes is busy fixing roads. So the best thing is to minimize. If you want to carry 60,000, wait for the railway to come. Then you put it on the rail line, and you have your way out that way.
Valid argument. Thank you very much, Alhaji Garuba, for sharing that. I think that's a very valid argument.
And it is a valid argument, but let's also look at it. The essence of the way bridges and 33,000 tankers at the point at where, and he's right, because of the asphalt roads, the way bridges have been taken away, and so on and so forth. And let's also remember that when you realize the fact that Nigeria has a pipeline network that cuts across 36 states in this country, what are we doing? Why are we doing so much long haul? And that's where you use the 60,000, the 45,000 tanker trucks. It used to be 33,000 for, and when I say long haul, we're talking about you're moving from maybe interstates, and it's not you drive from Lagos to Sokoto. It's Lagos to Ibadan or Lagos to Abeokuta, and then from Ilorin to, and these are all because of the fact that we had a pipeline system, we had a storage system that could accommodate, and nothing has been done, is gone out of extension. So now you people, and which is wrong, like he said, and I agree with him. But people have invested, and through the system that refused to manage it, they've invested in those things and paid hundreds of millions of naira to invest in them, and then all of a sudden, boom, they can't do business anymore. And the other question will be this: when you ban all of them, how many 33,000 trucks do we have to satisfy the 25 million liters of petrol every day that moves around the country?
And the notice was very short. It's very
It's March
short.
1, it's a week.
Yeah.
Yes, it's short. But the question is this, in comparison to the 33,000, to the 15,000, to the 22,500 that you have, how many in reality?
Alhaji mentioned Apapa. Should this also apply to containers? Because they're the ones that are destroying those roads in Apapa. And they keep falling on cars and, you know.
First and foremost, let's even look at the trucks themselves. Are they roadworthy to carry those things? You know, that's where I started from. Are the trucks themselves roadworthy to carry those things? If they are not, why are they on the road? If I'm driving on the road and my MOT expires yesterday and they stop me, I'm in big trouble. But those things don't even have nothing. And it's so sad.
It's almost like they're exempt of roadworthy,
like I said,
and a lot of things.
Public transportation,
Even the
public transportation in Nigeria seem to be exempt from
Even
having roadworthy cars or roadworthy vehicles
or
to
obeying
run.
traffic laws. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's a shame.
I mean, I guess you've talked about the pros and the cons, and in the coming days, we'll see how this will be implemented. And if there will be measures to ensure that we don't experience fuel scarcity, because right now, that's also something that Nigerians don't want.
Well,
but what we also
that's
don't
true.
want to keep having bad roads, because they're not good for us,
Thank you
they're not good
very
for our
much.
cars, and the rainy season is fast approaching.
Shock absorbers
so
are very expensive.
It's very expensive, really. Okay, let's quickly look at the Osun crisis. The Daily Trust newspaper talks about the Osun crisis. The council crisis depends as sacked chairman take over local government. I think what we're seeing now just dates back to the elections, the local government elections that happened in 2022, the judgment that was given in February 2025, and how different parties are interpreting it differently. We had a guest today on the show that was interpreting it differently from the guest that we had yesterday. Some would say there is no express statement that, you know, these council chairmen should be reinstated. Some would say, you know, there's...
They're resolving to self-help, yeah.
So basically what we're saying, lives have been lost. Election is meant to happen on Saturday. We don't know if the elections will happen at this rate, but politics is politicking.
It beats me that there is a law that says that when local government representatives, chairmen and local government councillors are elected, they have a 3-year term that starts from the day they take the oaths of office till then. And elections are expected to be conducted just before their term ends. Why? So that there can be some form of handover from one person to the other. What we see is, first and foremost, the states which are supposed to be responsible for holding these elections don't run the elections. But first, once their term comes to an end, you want to sack all of them and create what? A vacancy and bring in caretaker. It just doesn't make sense. Run the elections in time so that you can, it's like telling us that you run the presidential election or the state governorship election of a state on June 1st. But on May 29, let's sack the president and sack the state governors because their terms have ended.
We have Obi calling from Abuja. Let's quickly take his call. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning, please.
Yes, good morning. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, please. I want to talk about the road problem, about the 60 liters of
tankers
tank moving on the road, please. My contribution there is this. I work at road construction, and I know what I'm saying. It's not all about the bounding of the tanker. It's all about checkmating the contractors that federal government used to give job. Because sometimes they will tell them to lay maybe 10 cm on the road. They will have compromise with them, and they will reduce it. And they will just lay maybe 5 or 4. And the Ministry of Works, they are not doing anything. They are not even checking anything. I worked there more than 18 years. They will just give them the contract, and they will go to the office and do what they will do, and they leave them to do all these foreign contractors. They will do what they will do. If a worker wants to talk, they will say they will sack you. And you have nothing, and you are saying something that they are doing wrong in our country. We don't have any say because our government are not even taking care of the worker. They are not even bringing journalists or to interview the workers. How are they managing? How are they doing with the with the foreign contractor, they will just leave everything. They will go and learn something. Both the earth movie, both the everything there, nothing is good. They will just let it and pass and collect their money. That is why when you see the tanker that carry maybe 40 or this, even if it is 40 or 30, the road will not be okay, because they are not checkmating them. They are not going to see how the contractors are doing the work. So they will just leave them and carry the money and go. That is why you see we continue building road until when Christ comes. So that is my own contribution. If federal government can checkmating them, we serious, you know, the corrupt people that when they go, they will compromise, they will give them money. After they come to their office, they will just go and leave them doing what. And whatever they say is what we follow. They will say we should do this. We know it's wrong. The material, some of them are not good. And from the down moving at the earth movie, you will see they will just do it and pack it and cut it and just fill it and move without doing the proper thing. That is not how things is done in a foreign country. Please let us know what to do in this our country.
Obi Francis, thank you for your contribution.
That's the safety issue, which is what we're talking about. The trucks themselves that carry those tankers, are they roadworthy? And that's what it is. It's not just about the roads. And when you say the roads are not built for 60,000, we've had some roads that have not even been maintained, not to talk about improved upon into concrete.
So there are multiple factors that contribute to this.
And it's over time. But when you say you are just going to ban a group of service providers, in National Union of Road Transport Workers, they are just going to tell you that they are going to go on strike. Tanker drivers can go on strike very soon.
All right.
I know the implications of that. Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Now let's move away from there and go back to the conversation we're having about Osun crisis before we took Obi Francis.
Yeah, and my point is this: let's run systems the way they are meant to be run. There is a tenure for local government governance. The chairman and the council members have a 3-year term from the day they're sworn in. So if it was on 1st of February, then you're expected that by 1st of February, 3 years after that, they are gone. Or if they are re-elected, they come back into office. But you won't do elections till when the terms have expired. And then you say, oh no, you have sacked all of them. And the law, like the AGF says, this governor has no right to just wake up and sack local government councils, because you didn't appoint them. They are elected officials. So let the system take its course. And until we do that, we're just going to have the same crisis all over the place. Run the election well before time. Are you with me? Have councillors and chairmen who have won elections so that there can be proper handovers and meet with the councillors who are already in place and the chairmen who are already in place if there are going to be replacements. And if you've done your 2 terms, which the law prescribes, then the new person who is coming in after that you must run things.
Now, what will it take to end this cycle of violence we've seen on Monday? Over 6 people died. And are they dying because of the need to serve the people? Why is it? This is just local government chairmanship. Is it because they're closer to the people? Why are we seeing this violence?
Politics, first and foremost, and I don't know why people want to cause mayhem because of a position that you are meant to serve the people, except you have ulterior motives. And
it shouldn't be a do-or-die affair.
Well, it shouldn't be, but that's what we've seen, and it's not today. I've seen it over so many elections in this country. And so it's become a do-or-die affair. But like I said, run elections when they're meant to be run, which is at least 90 days before the end of the terms of the tenures of the council members. And then we know that there are elected officials who are either going to take over or they have been re-elected and are going to continue on their role for the 2nd term. That's it. But when you don't run the elections on time and then you just wake up and say, oh, their tenures have expired, and the law says you should sack them. No, you shouldn't. You should run the elections and have people who are going to come in. You don't bring in caretaker committees or executive secretaries to run councils that people should have been elected for. That's my opinion, and I think that's what the federal government and the National Assembly should look at in the local government legislation against for the states towards election. And you know the irony of this, under the very first set of elections, the local government elections were conducted centrally from the national. It was the Obasanjo government that moved it to the state. But the states have just, you know.
There's no independence in the state electoral commissions. I mean, the results are almost...
It makes no difference. You see, the independence or no independence, run the process the way the law says you should run the process. Then you cannot, when you don't run the process correctly, do you understand? Then how can you complain about independence? Even those who want to contest the elections, you don't even know what the law says, and then the governors now think that, oh, you can just fire local government chairmen because their terms have expired. Like I said, it's like your term expired and INEC did not conduct elections. You should just fire the president or fire the state governors. That's what you are saying. That's what you are putting in place. Because what's good for the goose, like I say, is good for the gander.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's no way that we can wrap up this conversation as quickly as possible without you speaking on USAID.
Yes, the Senate has summoned security chiefs over alleged Boko Haram findings, and they want to know...
You see what Akpabio has said about it. You've heard a bit of the argument between our guests. Let's get your own thoughts as we wrap this up.
So, what are your expectations from the probe, and what's necessary?
My expectations, I don't think there should even be a probe. My expectations...
Why? This is a very serious allegation.
So let me put it this way. We know that the U.S., over time, in trying to build democratic institutions across the world, have either supported one form of non-state actors or the other. Some of them have come out to become what today are terrorist groups. Now, is there a possibility that some of the funds that have gone through USAID have gone to some of these non-state actors who, when they lost out on the power play, have become terrorist groups? Yes, it's possible. But is there any direct involvement of saying USAID is sponsoring terrorism? In my own opinion, I don't think that's right. I don't think that is right. But yes, monies that have gone out towards pushing democratic institutions in some of these countries. How did Al-Qaeda come out to be? Al-Qaeda came out to be in the early 90s, after the war in Iraq, the Bush war in Iraq. And then ISIS came out to be after the Bush war, also in Iraq. So where did those monies come from? And there were humanitarian activities that went on after that. Yes, some of them might have gone into those pockets towards humanitarian activities, but have been diverted to other means. And let's be very careful when we make these statements and throw them out generally, that, oh, they are sponsoring terrorism, people like Boko Haram. Right. Whoever made that statement, let him show us the evidence and the documentation that shows that they
But when you ask about, people asking for evidence, they'll say that, you are being lily-livered and you're not able to... So I think one of the quotes I've heard is the witch died in the night. Abi mother cried, which died. How is that proven?
No, and I mean, they say the way these things operate, intelligence, that's why it's called cloak and dagger. You don't expect them to open up and say, oh, we did this and that. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
The American...
But looking at America's history of destabilization, regime change,
and
that's my point. Yeah. Is it directly from the USAID? We know the covert operations of the CIA, the FBI, and all. Monies are even drug money in Mexico, like they all continue to scream. But the reality comes from the fact that a lot of these things are passed through different agencies on what you call, whether it's humanitarian activities or democratic institution building and all. But when you say the allegation is you take USAID money, and then I give it to Olumide, who I know is a terrorist, and they've done it directly. They did it in what's it called, Colombia.
I mean, look at Syria, the recent case of Syria. The president of Syria was on FBI's wanted list.
This is where we end the newspaper reviews.
And that's it. So
Thank you so much for...
It just beats me that USAID supports terrorism. Maybe indirectly, yes, it's possible. But let them also show me that that money were given to those terrorists. So invariably, they will just tell us that USAID were the ones who started to fund Osama bin Laden.
All right, we need to wrap up now. Thank you so much, Uade, for joining us.